No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it? You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey gardeners, hope you're all having a great week out in your gardens. I'm just up here checking out our rooftop pepper garden here. And yeah, it's starting to wear a little thin with the cold weather here for sure. Their leaves are starting to brown off. They're falling off like crazy. So these plants are probably going to be done in the next couple of days, maybe sooner if it gets colder. We still got a bunch of fruits on our plants though I got to come and get, like this one here. This is a Permaculture. This is one of the hottest peppers in the world right here. So we've got a couple of these. We need to pick off all of our plants here. But yeah, it's time to start thinking about pulling all of these guys. And that's just that time of year when we gotta really, you know, we've been hanging out with these plants and taking care of them now for the whole season, and now they gotta go. But at the same time, we also get to think about what are we gonna put up here next year? What's gonna happen in the next season? It's the fun of gardening and growing, is that once 1 year's done, the next year is in front of us. So again, happy, sad moment to have to think about our rooftop pepper garden finishing up for the year, but we get to look forward to next year. So right on, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. We've got some great guests for you. All right, let's get growing. All my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. Welcome to the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today, and we've got a great show ahead for you today. Today on the show for our feature interview here in just a little bit later on, we've got joining with us Andrew Millison. He is a permaculture specialist and instructor at Oregon State University. And if any of you are familiar with Andrew's channel, he does some really exceptional documentary style videos from around the world. Even we'll talk a lot about that, and a lot of just really cool instructional type videos about permaculture and all sorts of other gardening related things. So again, really excited about talking with Andrew here just a little bit later in the show. So definitely stay tuned for that interview coming up here in just a little bit. And here also too, in just a few minutes as well too, we'll be joined with our facilitator, Jay Dixon. Will join with us for a little bit of a conversation here to get us started today on our show. But if you can here, as we're getting started, let's definitely click that like button, you know, hit that thumbs up, as well as subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams, as well as share with all of your friends. Let them know that we're here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and now 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time for all of you over there in the UK and such. And also big, huge shout out to all of you who are watching us on the replay. Thank you so much for joining with us here on your time. It's great to have you here with us on the show. Definitely drop into our comment section below. Let us know you're here. Let us know what you got growing on. Let us know how your garden's doing. Are you growing into the fall? All those great things. Or just drop in and say hi. I'd love to hear from you in our comment section below. And if you are here with us on the show, definitely drop in any of your questions or comments, or jump into our chat and say hello to everybody. We'd love to hear from you as well. And if you do have any questions for us, and I love to see the questions, bring those questions for our guests here coming up a little bit later in the show. But if you can, put them in some capital letters if you can, so that I can see those questions from the regular conversation. Make sure that we get those asked of our guest. And of course, definitely follow all the links down below in the description to our guests, and go show them some love here from the Let's Get Growing show. Go over to one of their videos or posts or something and leave them a comment and let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. Again, thank you all so much for joining with us here today. It's great to have you here with us. Lots and lots of things growing on as you see there at the beginning clip that I played there for everybody. I was up on the rooftop a little bit earlier, just kind of checking out how things are going up there, and around the garden as well too. We haven't really seen a full-on frost yet for our garden spaces yet. Like, I mean, really a frost that's really, I mean, a lot of our pepper plants, the ones up on the roof, they're getting hit just a little bit more than the ones down below on my patio. And those ones on the patio are still doing great. I'm still letting some fruits ripen on them because it really hasn't got too cold yet. But those up on the rooftop are really getting the brunt of any sort of wind and cold weather that's happening. And so they're really starting to, kind of fade away for the season, as you would say. And like I said there too, in that clip, it's also, it's kind of a happy, sad moment. It was fun to get that project started back up and to be able to grow all of those pepper plants up there on the rooftop this year, like we did in years past. We'll expand it. We'll put some more things up there in this next coming season. But that's kind of where we're at, though. Everything that we've grown out this year is kind of heading towards its end, and we'll be pulling those plants and planning for our next year. And then, so that's kind of like I said, it's a happy, sad time of year when it comes to a lot of these things that are now fading out from our summer plants and all of that as we're moving towards fall and all of that as well, is that, those things from this year's past are going away, but we're also getting to think about next year as well too. So getting to think about all of these cool different varieties that I didn't grow this year that I could possibly grow this next year. Again, too, the idea of maybe expanding and bringing up more pots and maybe growing some other things besides peppers as well too for that rooftop space. So lots of things really are really kind of good and fun about this year as well too, is that all of that anticipation of the stuff that we can do this next season. Take some of the things we learned about things that happened this year and expand on those and apply them in this next season, and hopefully have an even better garden. I mean, it was kind of our first time back up there this year, so it wasn't like again, as I've talked in weeks past as well, this whole year has been kind of like a no expectations type of garden for me. I'm just planting and letting things do as I may to take care of them and all of that. And whatever happens, happens. Overall, it turned out to be a pretty good year, but, the rooftop was definitely kind of a first time space in a way that we've utilized. I mean, we grew there in years past, but it's been so many years, it's almost like a first garden again. And so, that's kind of how I really look at that space as well too, is that, even more no expectations when it comes to that space, and everything still grew pretty well. Not as great as I would hope for it to, but pretty well. And we'll take pretty well this year, and we'll expand on that into an even better space, even better plants this next year. One thing I don't have to do, though, when it comes to growing up in that space this next year is getting all those first buckets and everything up there, and just getting things established and set up there. Now we've got our base set up. Like I said, we'll add to it a bit, but we've already got a bunch already set up there. It's gonna be a lot easier to get those plants up there and started on time and growing really well this next year. So again, we can look forward to this next season, hopefully have an even better experience up on our rooftop garden. So again, that was so much fun, and I really look forward to growing more up there as well. And I hope that all of you have also been following along with our pepper series. It's one of the things I've been doing this year more so than any of the other videos that we do for it. So I wanted to create kind of a full playlist of all of the things that I do in getting my pepper garden started, all the way from the very beginning when we're planning out which seeds and all of that. So it's all the way from seeds to whenever. We're not even finishing it, so it'll go on into next season and all of that, this playlist. But it takes you through the whole process of how I get all of my peppers going. If you haven't had a chance to check out that playlist, I really hope that you get a chance to do that, especially here in the off season. Get a chance to run through it, and maybe even get an opportunity to kind of do some of those things for your peppers this next year if you haven't grown any yourself. Or again, we feature a lot of our small space tactics and things like that as well too. So maybe it's a great opportunity for you to get started with growing some container peppers for yourself. So check out that pepper playlist. It's our ultimate pepper guide, growing peppers. This last one we did just this last week was part 11, where I take you through, and again, we'll show you more of those close-ups of those plants that are growing up on the rooftop pepper garden, but also all of the other peppers and pepper plants that are growing throughout all of our other garden spaces. This last video that we did for this playlist is basically kind of end of summer pepper plant tour. We take you through, show you all the really cool pods and things that we grew on all of our different plants and everything throughout this growing thing. So it's kind of like a full on from very beginning to end kind of playlist where we're at. There's still more things I want to do with this playlist as we're moving on into the next growing season. And because there's still so many fun things to do with peppers and stuff that we didn't even cover quite yet with this playlist. So we're going to keep it going. We'll be doing all sorts of other things with peppers as well too as we get growing in this next season. So definitely go and check those out for sure. So all right, let's get in here and let's say hi to some folks here who are joining with us today. I saw Serena in the conversation, nice and early there before we were getting started. Great to have you with us here, Serena. Thank you so much for being here. See, gardening channel with hot potato, Alan. It's awesome to have you here with us today as well. Says permaculture to me is permanent culture, to design a system that eventually no longer needs the gardener. Yeah, that's a great interpretation. Something that's really able to sustain itself in a way is really great. And yeah, and of course, let's say hi to our friend Jay Dixon joining with us, our facilitator of the show. Joining us from Ontario, Canada. Jay, thank you so much for being here. In fact, Jay's working, and she'll be on here in just a minute as well, too. We'll talk a little bit about it. But Jay's actually got a new setup, and I know that she's trying to figure it out right now. But she's got a new setup. We've got her access now to our studio. So Jay's actually behind the scenes here in our studio working things, and we'll see how things go as we're going to try to kind of combine some tasks here maybe and see if we can't get things showing just a little bit better, or in a way maybe just a little bit of an improvement to what we're doing. But it's definitely going to take a little bit of time to get used to having kind of both of us administering things back here. But a little extra fun for us here coming up in the next few shows and all of that. We'll talk a little bit more about that with Jay here in just a minute. And I see our other good friend and moderator, Adam Burley, joining with us. Our good friend just right down the road from me here in Southern Oregon. He's just right up there in Central Point. Thank you, Adam, for being here. It's always great to see you in our conversation. Muddy Puddles Farm, right on, right on. Almost on time today. Excellent, excellent. It's great to have you here on time or a little late, however you get in. It's always just awesome to have you here with us on the conversation. We've got my Renaissance grandma joining with us as well, too. Hello to you, Eddie Lyles, as well. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. Somebody say hi, Eddie. Hi, Eddie. Right on, right on. Jersey girl, awesome. Always great to see you in the conversation as well, too. Thank you for being here. And I see Bowtie Life in the Garden joining with us. He's here as well. Awesome to have you here, David. Great to see you. I see Robin Gardens in here as well. Hello from Chicagoland. Just got my garlic in between rain showers. Toes and fingers are numb, hard to type. It's getting cold then, that's for sure. Also had to take off my wet socks and put them in the heat vent to dry. Oh my, it's definitely soggy wet where you're at for sure. Right on, right on. I see. Muddy Puddles Farm was also saying, I love Andrew's channel and his glass board. I was just actually talking with Jay about that just before we were getting started on the show. I think it's one of the cool, fun things about what he's done on his channel. He does so many other really cool stuff. I'm really, really excited about talking with Andrew here just a little bit later in the show. Muddy Puddles says, I am a massive fan. Absolutely. Me too. And again, hopefully, those of you who haven't met Andrew before come away with this from this conversation a big fan as well too. See Farmer Marshall as well in there. Thank you, Farmer Marshall, for joining with us on the conversation as well. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Just really awesome to have you all with us today. Like I said, just really excited about today's show and getting to talk with everybody and hang out with all of you as well today. We're going to get things moving right along today here. We'll just take a quick break, and then we'll be right back, and we'll talk with our good friend, the J-Bot.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants, and author, Saving the World with the Home Garden. Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat, as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
All right, all right. Now we're back at it here. Thank you, everybody, again for being here with us today. And if you didn't get a chance to check out, well, I'll start with real quick here. One more last mention of our Halloween Hangout live stream that we just did this last week for Halloween, fifth annual Halloween Hangout live stream, where we watched the original 1960 classic Little Shop of Horrors. If you didn't get a chance to check out that hangout, there was lots of great costumes and costume changes and all that sort of stuff from our guests and viewers who showed up to hang out with us. You want to go back and check that out. You can always fast forward through the movie if you don't want to, spend the time watching the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, it's really fun. You want to check it out, but you can fast forward through that. It's and check out our hangout just after the movie there and see all of these just really fun costumes everybody brought to just a really great and another great Halloween hangout for us this year. I look forward to our 6th annual Halloween hangout this next year, but it was really fun to hang out with all of you as well too. Last Saturday on the show, we had with us Amy Bauer from Front Yard Veggies. It was really great to hang out with Amy. Again, I have met Amy years ago. Went and visited her garden in Southern California many years ago. She's since moved to the East Coast and has whole new gardening. She's a mom now. We got to catch up and have a really great conversation this last Saturday, as well as getting to meet the Reckless Garden. Just a really fun conversation with Anna from Reckless Garden. You want to go and check that out as well too. Those are just some really great conversations, just like we have here every Saturday and Sunday, like I said. And last Sunday's edition as well too, we had another appointment with our good friend and Dr. Jeffrey Pierce joining with us to talk about gardening as medicine. So a great conversation with Jeff that you want to go back and check out if you didn't get a chance to yet as well too. So again, really great shows. We got some great ones still coming up here, but it's time to catch up with our good friend, the J-Bot. The J-Bot. So, all right, everybody, here she is, our good friend and facilitator of the show, Jay Dixon, joining us from Ontario.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going? How's it going?
Frantic, busy,
Right on.
We've had a few light frosts, but we're about to get our first hard frosts and snow. And am I prepared? No, I am not.
I know, huh? It is again for me. I'm still probably a little ways away before we really get any hard frost, but it's getting frost or cool enough to where a lot of the plants are just like, we're finishing up. We're about done around here, and so that's when you can really anticipate that the weather really is going to make a big turn for the cold or here real soon.
Well, I'm plant greedy, so my garden's not done. My tender plants are going to be done. I
Right.
still have the cool and cold weather plants that I purposely started planting back in August and September. They're still going to be hanging in there. So what it meant was my franticness right now is to deal with whatever detritus is kind of like laying around that I don't really want a few layers of snow on, meaning garden tools and stuff that should have been properly put away, but somebody didn't. Don't know who.
Who could it be?
I don't recall.
This mystery gardener that gardens with us, right?
Yeah, and
The
then
one we turn to and blame for everything.
yes, and then also the decision point of how much time and energy I've got about whether I want to protect some of the tender plants, tender annual vegetables, whether I want to try to sort of protect some of the cool and cold weather stuff, because what a lot of people are unaware of, and it's a decent list of people of vegetables people, there are not people in my garden, is that there's some vegetables that you purposefully plant that are not only tolerant of frost, but are actually happier after a frost. So skipping aside the stuff that should have been cleared out but isn't, but is kind of done, I actually purposefully left a whole bunch of stuff, started planting in August and September, and my timing isn't necessarily perfect, but some of the stuff that I've taken photographs of are happier after a frost. It kind of takes the carbohydrates, turns them into sugars, so that in some ways it kind of softens isn't the word I want to use, mellows and makes them sweeter. So they are slightly different tasting. Some say better.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at some of these pictures you sent in for us to look around your garden. How much fun is it to have a fun little garden tour as well today? So I'll just flip through these pictures and you kind of do some narrating here and let us know what we're seeing.
Sure. I actually have 2 garden plots that are my own, but then people give me space in this. So this is a nearby one with just some peas traveling up there. And I have to decide if I'm going to take some of the shoots off before the frost and snow is coming. So it's just a way to trellis up peas on somebody else's garden plot.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
And this is, again, another person's garden plot. And there's everything that remains in there that's still growing is mine. But I also got the opportunity for a bunch of Halloween hay bales. And they are untested. So I don't know about the issue about whether there'll be products like Grazon, other aminopyrrolides in there. So you'll notice they're on paths and a little distant from the garden plots until I kind of sort out some of the testing to decide if they can be mulched directly in my garden or whether I have to do things to kind of age them out, wait them out until the aminopyrrolides settle down, and then they can be an excellent garden amendment.
Excellent. All right. Ooh.
Yeah. And this is a little bit close up. My photography is not fabulous, folks. It's just kind of quick snapshots. But this is one of my celery.
I actually like this picture. It's got a cool sense of outer light while you're looking on the inside there. So not bad photography.
So that's celery. And I grew, theoretically, I grew 6 this year for the first ever time, except I kind of got 4 good. But as most of you know, as gardeners, celery holds a lot of water. The coming cold and frost, the water really hurts water-filled plants. So my celery had to come out today.
Oh, so it's finished up then.
Yeah, there's actually a later picture in which I show at least a couple of them out. And that's bright light Swiss chard. And Swiss chard, being in the beet
Look at that
family,
color.
yeah, is it's called bright lights. If anyone wants to look at it, it has brilliant yellows and reds in it, as well as a conventional whitey green of Swiss chard. And it's one of the ones that's a cold weather crop that actually tastes better, more mellow and sweeter with the frost. And in my area, we get quite a lot of cold and snow, really
Yeah.
a lot. And the Swiss chard, most of it survives the winter with no cover at all.
Yeah, Swiss chard's very hardy.
Yeah, so there's some more of Swiss chard that's a little bit more mature, showing kind of a mix of some of the bright light stuff. As you can kind of grasp as you're starting to see the photos, I'm not a fussy gardener. I'm just put it in, a little bit of care, and hope it's all right kind of gardener. So there's not a lot of garden book looking pictures because my garden rarely looks like that. It's just a functioning garden.
Yeah, I feel that. My space is a lot like that as well, too.
So this is showing a range of different things that's kind of in there, including some turnip greens, which again are a cold weather crop, some more Swiss chard. Kind of a little hard to see on the edge is some peas, which they're cool weather, but they don't love a frost. So I'm going to have to make some decisions later today about whether I might take the shoots, which if some of you are unaware, and you'll see some more pea pictures later, is that peas are edible for the entire plant portion of it. So you may choose to take the shoots or flowers and eat those. And if you're running out of time like I am, it's an option.
It's one of my favorite microgreens are pea shoots. Just love those. They're so sweet and delicious.
So I have tons of them.
Yeah. Cabbage here.
Cabbage. I grew somewhere in the neighborhood of about 16 different cabbages of different kinds of looks and types. You can kind of tell if you look at them. Again, not a garden book looking one. I don't protect them from any of the pests or anything yet. And I have, I think, about 4 varieties of cabbage I'm growing. And again, cold weather crop, loving the frost. A couple of frosts actually improves it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just a kind of like a bit of an arty picture of the side of my garden. My main garden, I use trellises that are all salvaged material to kind of put things up. And I try to make things a little bit arty, a little bit pretty amongst the practicality, because I garden my vegetables in a community garden. So people walk and go through in different ways. And I'm trying to sort of expand. I try to be a little playful in my garden. Everybody else is just to the function. Whereas I'm kind of trying to move in the direction of people enjoying the place and space and providing little opportunities for people to use them as photo backdrops for selfies and stuff.
Yeah. That's really great you say that. My neighbor just showed me like a little video they made with their baby and everything, with our pumpkin vines and everything that we have in the back and all of that. So it's kind of cool that people use your garden to make cool pictures and videos.
Yep, they do that. Photography, they actually really do. This is just a quick picture of a window box. I did a couple window boxes in which I very hastily put in some lettuce and some radish that can take cool but not necessarily cold freezing temperatures. And I planted them more densely than you would ever think, because that's kind of a strategy in the cool and the cold, that having the plants kind of bunched up against each other kind of helps their survivability.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And then what do we, there's some kale.
And then that's just more Swiss chard, more kale. That's one of the curly varieties. I'm never great about exact naming of what I've got, but you can see I've got Swiss chard of various sizes. A little hard to see in this picture, but that there are some peas climbing up the very edge of the back, because I live in an area where everything is small space, so I'm trying to squeeze out as much use as I can.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's great stuff. Lots of great stuff.
Brussels sprouts, again, cold weather crop. So loving a few frosts. And I've got, I think, 4 or 6 Brussels sprouts. And again, that's actually a first time for me for Brussels sprouts ever.
Oh, really? First time growing?
Yep, for me.
Not too bad. Everything's looking pretty good. My Brussels sprouts did not do that well this year. Again, it's always a challenge for me and where I grow from and all of that, just to keep them alive, to get them to the cool season. And sometimes it's near impossible, especially with Brussels sprouts. More
So this
kale
is
here,
another.
looks like.
This is more borrowed space. What happens is I have a community garden that I'm in that's 43 plots. A lot of people aren't very committed to their garden space, and knowing that I'm an active gardener, they let me have space. So they let me have space in different ways. And this is another borrowed somebody else's garden plot with their permission. And you'll see a few of the different types of kale. In the taller back is a dinosaur kale. And a little further past that is a bunch of peas. Again, I'm growing more peas.
All right. And let's see here. Next one up.
Yep, again, that's just more cool weather crops that will be, happy, probably tolerate the next couple snows. It's a small amount of snow, but it is happening.
Okay, yeah. All right. Next one up, we've got here some more kale, looks like. Yeah.
Yep, kale and turnip greens, and again, just different types, just for some variety. Pretty much everything I'm showing today is things that are fairly frost cold tolerant or actually improved by it. The thing is, in my area, almost every garden or gardener, or even to some degree the farmers, stop at about Labor Day, and I'm trying to encourage people to push on a little bit longer and have what I call a shoulder season bonus crop of what else you can have. I mean, I'm still gardening. These pictures were taken this morning. These pictures were taken in Canada,
right,
in November. We are getting snow tomorrow, snow possibly tonight. And yet most of the stuff I've left here is all going to be happy. Yeah.
It's going to do just fine, right?
And carrots, again, another cold weather crop that can handle a certain amount of snow and frost and actually be improved by it. And I have probably about 10 crops like that of carrots. That's just one of them.
And looks like some of that celery you were talking about.
Yep. So if people who are celery connoisseurs, fancy chefs would go, that's okay celery. It's my first time growing it. I didn't use any fancy techniques. It basically had reasonable neglect to it. And I didn't do the blanching. The fancy ones you see in the store are blanched and they're treated a certain way. I'm a pretty rough and tumble gardener. I'm happy I got celery for this first time. Yay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it looks great, especially I'm certain, and I'm totally certain that those celery there, your first time celery, looks a lot better than my first time celery. So that's for sure. How did it taste? How was the flavor? Did you get a chance to snack on one of those yet, or what? I
don't know. I've been frantically running around like a cartoon character trying to harvest the tender stuff out of my veggie gardens. I didn't take a picture of this, but I harvested some peas and the celery. But I am trying to just sort of take care of stuff that I don't want buried in snow is the short version. And like I said, some garden elf left tools and stuff out. Another picture I didn't take is I had about 15 different pumpkins and squashes that people gave to me, and they can't be out in the snow. So I am kind of putting them up in the back porch so that they have moderated temperatures and no snow on them. So I did not grow those pumpkins. They were given to me. People know I like, there's frequently things like charity bake sales and stuff around here. So I take that stuff, glean it from people, and then process it, get it frozen. And then when there's a charity bake sale on, I do banana bread, pumpkin bread, zucchini bread, those kinds of things at fairly low cost to fundraise for these nonprofits and charities.
That's awesome. Again, too, one of the things I really love about your garden spaces is that you're also working on and doing things with other gardeners. You've talked about this before in your community garden space, how you go in and you kind of, mentor or help people out who might need help because they don't got the energy or time sometimes. I think that's really great that you do that and everything. One of the things I was wondering about that, though, too, is So if you're working with someone and it's their plot, but you're going to go in and help them out and everything, are you growing? Are they like telling you what they want to grow and you're growing it, or is there a lot of like, okay, well, I can do this, and you're just kind of growing things that you already have or doing yourself?
Well, what I do is I try and flex what I'm willing to give, what I have the energy and willing to give, have the skills to give, with what that person needs. So I'm sort of tailoring it and flexing
Yeah.
what they need. So for example, this spring, for the first time, I purposefully approached people who were having a difficult time with getting their garden started, mainly because they
Yeah.
were senior or disabled, and they were struggling with whether they were going to be able to do it at all. So I basically set aside my garden with mixed feelings about it for about a month and
Yeah.
established other people's garden, getting them plant ready. So that was like one big project where I think I did about 10 of the 43 garden plots, getting them plantable and ready to go for those people. Another person, both people in it were disabled but wanted raised beds. So this was a couple of years ago, but I actually built the raised beds for them. That was an insanely huge project, really, really big. But those people can't bend. So they needed, and at basically no expense, they needed a raised bed to be with close to no bending, minimal bending. And I used a whole bunch of pallets. I had someone help me take them apart. I was grabbing pallets, taking them on my bike and stuff like that, doing whatever I could to get this in place for those people. And essentially that was adapted Horticulture, where most of the height that I got for the raised beds, the fill in it was essentially yard waste in a
Right.
thoughtful way, to get it up high, and then the native soil, and then some amended soil, and then mixed in, and away we go. And they wouldn't have been able to garden because of the
Right.
bending, except that I took the time to build that. And I think I did it in an autumn, like an out of season time 2 or 3 years ago for them. And more people are getting convinced as they age. They're kind of going, oh, that kind of makes good sense, you know?
Yeah.
So that's good. And then the other thing I did was this year I did what I called mid-season rescue. For various life reasons, people have health problems, people get busy in their life, they get distractions, or maybe an opportunity, they've been waiting for a surgery or something, and suddenly they say, oh, you've been waiting a year for that surgery, we can do this in July. And they're like, yeah, except I built a garden and I can't recover from the surgery and bend and stuff in
Right.
that garden. So sometimes I go in and either help them for a while when they're away or recovering, or I do what I call mid-season rescue, where someone's garden's starting to get out of control. And instead of going in and saying, how dare you, I'm going to judge you in your life about why you should or should not be gardening. I live in an HOA, folks, so
Right.
there are
Right.
some people with that kind of mindset. Instead, I say, oh, they must be going through some things. I'm not necessarily going to invade their privacy, but I'm going to offer some support so that the
Yeah.
garden is more under control and they're happier about their garden and reinvigorated. The garden's tidier, which is nicer to everybody's standards. The plants are happier to get that going. And then
Yeah.
these people essentially have a reset. So instead of feeling horribly overwhelmed and embarrassed by how it got, I go, hey, it's reset, it's ready for you again. And they're like, oh yeah, great. And for most people, they're reinvigorated and back in there again.
All right. Yeah, excellent. And again too, so you also said that you're expecting maybe some snow and all of that coming up here real soon, which I'm sure a lot of other folks in other more of the northern regions and all that have got similar expectations coming up or anything. Is there anything you're doing in this garden? I know you kind of just said it just kind of goes as it goes or anything, but do you do anything extra? Do you try to maybe put any covers or row covers or any sort of thing like that to kind of maybe extend out the season on certain things at all?
Sometimes, but it's not going to happen this year, is I do very cheap and cheerful looking low tunnel covers for my garden. And I can explain more in detail. Perhaps I should do a video or something about it sometime, or figure some things out. But essentially, the simplest version I can put, and it will not be happening this year, but some years I do. I
Hmm.
put in around October, dollar store hula hoops. I just
Oh,
unhook them so that they're no longer that. I stick them in the ground on each side, put them
okay.
fairly close together, put a cover over top of them, and I have some that are custom fitted and some that are just a medium weight frost blanket type thing. And
Yeah.
that gives me, one layer gives me in about an additional 3 degrees Celsius. And if I do 2 layers in one way or another, it gives me about an additional 6 degrees. And a number of years ago, when my health was a little better, I deliberately did that, and I grew in Canada under snow with no additional heat sources or anything. I grew about an additional 15 bushels of
Oh, wow.
produce, additional beyond the normal growing season. And I was going there and like knocking the snow off every so often, off these low tunnel type things that I've made. Very cheap, very easy to do. No complication to them at all. And I grew up until I think around the 20th of December in Canada under inches of snow.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. I know we also talked about too here just recently about, and again, you do a similar thing that I do. I mean, I have some trees, I have some leaves that fall around here that I can get, but I go out hunting for tree leaves, and that's one of the things I do to tuck in my garden or kind of help things out is mulch up some of these spaces with as many of the tree leaves that I can find around. And I'm already starting to see bags piling up out in the front of neighbors' houses that I'm planning and making plans to go and snag them up. Tell us a little bit about some of your leaf gathering adventures.
Well, some of you may get a little concerned about me when you hear about what I feel about leaves. I live in a lake district, in a forest, in a village near a pond, okay? And we have absolute tons and tons and tons of leaves, which nobody uses for anything. So I am leaf greedy. I absolutely, if my health holds out, I aim
Right.
of bins or bags of leaves. 500, 500, 500 bags or bins or boxes of leaves. Then I chop them all down to get it down to 50, 55. And then those leaves are like garden gold. They're literally just sitting there with so many uses for you. You can use them as mulch immediately. You can use them as mulch in the future. Later today, I'll be putting them around some of those cold weather crops to kind of act as
Hmm.
a sort of insulation. They help shade out weeds. They're great in your compost. You can make a bin or just an open pile of them and make leaf mold. I mean, if we could sell them, we would sell them. It's just an unbelievable product. And people are putting out to the curb piles and piles of them because they don't want them. And it's garden
Yeah.
gold. It's garden gold. I use
Yep,
them in
it really
vertical
is.
to build up the beds to help
Oh,
us
yeah.
with the fill of the,
For fill,
so
it's a great idea.
yeah, so much, so much. So usually I try to aim towards that 55 or so chopped down, like
Yeah.
chopped down to about 55 bags. And then I use approximately 35 to 40 immediately on top of my garden as I finish each plot. And what I was taking photographs around is there's probably about 35 sitting in my garden right now, ready to go, and about 10 that have been emptied out already in the spots where it was tender
Yeah.
crops that were finished, because leaving your soil uncovered for any amount of time is not really the best for the health of your soil. So
Yeah.
one message I want to definitely send out there is, with any spare time, energy, resources you have, is to become a soil farmer. If you can get
Yeah.
that
That's
concept
right.
as sort of like a background steadiness in how you do things, everything will be better with your gardening.
Absolutely. And real quick here, let's finish up with this. Sam asks, and I was kind of wondering that myself, is do you use a leaf mulcher or a lawnmower, or what kind of method do you use to chop down all of this garden gold that you're collecting?
I use whichever comes available to me. When I'm doing it in quantity, I tend to use a lawnmower, but I just use
Hmm.
a very sturdy old basic type. Those old metal ones that were really hard to kill, those the
Oh
ones I
yeah.
use, because some of the newer made ones are a little fragile, and you're running into the occasional stone, rock, branches and stuff
Yeah.
as you're gathering, and you're ka-chunking your lawnmower pretty darn hard, or occasionally just kind of clogging it because you get damp leaves. You're not as careful as you should be. So I love those really old, like 30-year-old lawnmowers that are hard to kill, because I'm pretty rough on them with my mulching. What I love at this time of year, just around the
Hmm.
snow starts coming, is I actually line up all of the leaves in a pile near my perennial beds, and I actually shoot them into the beds. So less effort as I'm getting older is I actually mow them and mulch them
Yeah,
and
that's a great
shoot them
idea.
into the bed. So a couple less steps, because yeah, getting old. And then I do have one of those blower vacuum mulcher things. And they're nice, but the impeller is only, and don't quote me on this, but it's about, say, 6 inches. And I did get one of the better ones that is supposed to work well and not jam too much. It's metal pieces and stuff,
Hmm.
but it's 6 inches as opposed to like the size of a lawnmower. So it tends to jam a little bit. So you have to have a bit of a patient attitude
Yeah.
about the constant jamming, and an impeller right there and jamming, and you're just trying to get things done. It's easy to get a little unhappy. So,
I
I
know. Yep.
try to not, yeah. So I use both, and, really loving that, and, what people are really liking, 'cause I still keep I used to run a landscaping business. I keep my hand in a little bit with still helping some people. So I clean their lawns when they hire me really, 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 really well for those who want it. So they
Yeah.
love it, okay?
Yeah.
I'm like, "Please let me mow some of this into your lawn." "No, no, we want it all clear." So I clear it all out, and then I take like a little goblin. I'm like, "Leaves, leaves for me." So I take
That's
them
right.
all away because they
Little
want them
trade, right?
gone.
I'll get your stuff
I'll
done,
use
but I'm taking this stuff for myself for sure, right?
correct. I'm trying to convert them to let me use them in their gardens and in their
Yeah.
lawns, and they're like, "No, no, we want this fakey green look."
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
Okay.
agree with you though too, is I'm the same when it comes to mulching. I'm about to get started on the same thing. I think we're almost exactly the same when it comes to our love for leaves, garden gold, and all of that. I'm about to be collecting, and I too myself use kind of a mix of both, whether it's a kind of one of those blower mulchers that I've got, but primarily if I'm gathering up all these bags from neighbors and everything, I'm just piling them up into the front yard and just rolling them over and mulching them down and rebagging them and getting them ready so that I have plenty to get me through not just the winter time and mulching everything, but also plenty to continue mulching throughout the rest of the garden season next year as well too. But
Yeah.
great stuff, great stuff. And always great to have you on for a little bit of a chat and everything. And I know you're again, as I was mentioning to everybody else too, you're usually facilitating the show through YouTube and all of that, but we've got you now kind of working on back behind the scenes. So I'm going to send you back behind the scenes for the rest of the show to see how
Great.
well and how fun we could figure all of that sort of stuff is. But again, thank you so much for everything you do and you contribute and do for our show here, Jay. It's really
Oh,
awesome to
sure.
have you.
No problem at all. Some of you have gotten to know me over the years. I am pretty obsessed with gardening. So if you give me a chance to talk about it, it's hard to get me stopped. So let's move on to Andrew.
That's I'm the same way. That's the one thing about having a fun talk show like this too, is I could talk about all this sort of stuff all day long. And but sometimes we just got to get moving on. So again, we'll
Great.
see you and talk to you just a little bit later, Jay. Thank you
Okay.
so much for being here today.
Okay. Bye.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. our weekly garden journals. And our incredible featured visits. All right. Moving right along here today. Again, thank you everybody for being here. Thanks for jumping into the chat. And if you got any questions or anything for our guest coming up, definitely drop into our chat there. And yeah, let's see some really cool, great questions here. I also do want to mention too, as we did mention at the beginning of the show, we're here both Saturday and Sunday. So that means we're gonna be right back at it here tomorrow, same time, same place, 11 a.m. Pacific here on the Urban Gardener channel. But it's gonna be the second Sunday of the month. And if those of you are familiar with the show, the second Sunday of the month means we've got our good friend Gardener Scott from the Gardener Scott channel joining with us for Ask Gardener Scott discussion and an opportunity for you to get all of your gardening questions answered. So if you got any real garden related questions that are coming up in your garden space and you're just wondering what to do about it, whatever the situation is, come and join with us tomorrow to talk with Gardener Scott and have him answer those gardening questions for you. Always great to see Gardener Scott on the show. I'm looking forward to that conversation coming right up. But I'm also, like I told you at the beginning of the show, really, really looking forward to this conversation coming up here as we got time, or it's time for our featured guest.
You never know when you might learn something, and that's what this is about for me. These are people that I admire. Please welcome my next guest.
All right, and today's featured guest we have joining with us Andrew Millison. We say, or at least I thought would be the best way to say, permaculture specialist.
Sounds good.
Instructor at Oregon State University, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, definitely.
Great. Awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, thank you, Andrew, for taking your time to join with us here today. It's really great to have you here. Like I said, I'm really excited about talking with you here. I just a super fan of your channel and your videos and all the things that you do. So I can't wait to really talk about, especially some of these really great trips you've been on lately and some of these just really amazing. I mean, you do a really great job at this documentary style videos and talking about all sorts of subjects and different cool projects and things that are going on out there. But before we really dig in and get going with that, just in case folks don't know who you are or just getting to meet you here, go ahead and take a moment here to kind of introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about Andrew.
Yeah, sure. First off, thanks so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate the invite. Where are you located?
I am Southern Oregon, right?
You're in Southern Oregon.
Rogue Valley,
Okay.
Medford, Oregon.
Okay, great. You are close by then. Yeah, so I'm Andrew Millison, another Oregonian. Well, I'm originally from Philadelphia. Grew up there and traveled all around. Lived in Arizona for a long time. And that's where I learned permaculture at first in the dry lands in the desert. Then I moved here to Oregon 2008, and I've been at Oregon State University since then. And I've really been working on permaculture. I took my first permaculture class in 1996 when I was just a young man. So it's almost 30 years that I've been focused on permaculture. And I've been at Oregon State University since 2009. And we have a big online permaculture class we do. I teach on campus as well. And having been an early adopter to online education, I started doing a lot of like multimedia stuff kind of early on. And so that led me to wanting to create higher production video content when I went to India with the International Permaculture Conference in 2017. And I visited all these projects and I did a bunch of filming, and then I came back and I made a bunch of YouTube videos and I realized I didn't know what I was doing at all. And so I was like, there's these incredible stories And so it ties a lot into my work at Oregon State University to actually visit and document just some of the most epic permaculture projects in the world. And that's really, I came back to India. I got good camera equipment. I learned how to use it. I came back to India in 2019, 2020. And that's really been the launch of my world travels and documentation. And that's really what I've been focused on a lot. I mean, aside from running the program at Oregon State University, it's really been my focus for, nearly the last 6 years at this point.
Yeah, just again, tons of really awesome videos. I've been watching a bunch of them, catching up on some late as well too. But I want to and I have noticed as well, I think there is a little bit of an echo, I suppose. Someone's saying there's an echo. I think it's
from me or from you?
Yeah, I think it's me coming through your side. So you might have some speakers.
Do you want me to put my headphones on?
That might do the trick.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
No problem. But before we dig into some of those really cool videos, like you said, that you're doing with some of your travels and everything, I wanted to ask you, because I haven't noticed it, and I was wondering if you're going to go back to, I don't know what you call it. What do you call that glass screen that you do some of that artwork on?
Oh, that's called the light board.
The light board is what you call that. All right.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I did steal a piece of one of your videos real quick here, so I can give everybody an idea of what it is that you do with this light board here.
Okay.
Let me play this real quick for everybody, and then we'll talk a little bit here on the other side.
Okay. Just like the human body on average is 60% water, the body of a tree on average is 50% water, both above and below ground in the root system. So imagine a forest on top of a hill. So with 50% of every tree made up of water, you can think of a forest on a hill as like a lake's worth of water just sitting there. Remember, the total canopy of a forest is intercepting fog, humidity, and nutrient-laden dust. So it's collecting water and nutrients even when it's not raining. Then when it rains, the whole canopy breaks the speed of the raindrops and gently drips the rain where the tree's structure directs it to.
Yeah, just really, and again, you did a whole bunch of just all sorts of different things that you teach and talk about. But with this light board, as you call it, just utilizing this art and just this really great way of storytelling out all of these different lessons through the art there. That's when I found your channel years ago, you doing that sort of thing. I was just hooked. I was like, this is the way to be doing things for sure. Tell us a little bit how that kind of got started, and some of the things that you have done utilizing that method of teaching.
Sure. So hopefully my echo is gone now.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, great. So I was always a graphic artist from the time I was a kid. I grew up in Philadelphia, so I spent a lot of time writing on walls and trains and things like that. And so I realized, being an instructor at the university, I'm doing a lot of teaching on the blackboard. So I'm really comfortable with making diagrams like that. And then through Oregon State University, they put out a request for proposals to do a MOOC back in 2015, like a massive open online course. And so I put in a application. And so when they accepted me, they were interested in putting a lot of resources towards creating some really nice content. And I was like, well, I'd love to be able to draw on some kind of board. And they actually were the ones that suggested the light board. It was something that was kind of new. So they bought it for my course development there. And then they use it a lot for their online courses, but I just got really into it. And, over time, it has become a more intricate and kind of advanced practice now, where I can actually make drawings and then project them up on a screen. So I can sort of trace what I'm doing now, where on the earlier ones, I had to just look at a piece of paper and then recreate it, which meant I was putting all this attention into recreating the scale, where now I don't have to invent the scale because I have guideposts. Yeah.
Just again, like I said, just such a great way of being able to teach something in that sort of manner. And again, I just think it's just really awesome. So is that something, again, like I said, I've been seeing a lot of these was really wonderful documentary videos you've been putting on. Is that something you're still continuing to do? Are those sort of light board lessons?
Yeah, well, at this point, I do them as animation segments within my videos.
Hmm.
So I have been doing ones that are just lightboard presentations, but they're just for my courses. So they're
Okay.
not something that's open for the public. So I've still been doing some of those, but overall, I usually do them as like an embellishment now,
Yeah.
a way to do animation. So if you look at all my recent videos, I have the drawings included, but I speed
Yeah.
them up. They're sped up like 20,000 times speed.
Really quick.
Super
Yeah.
quick. So I might spend 3 to 4 hours making a drawing, and then it gets sped up to like 12 seconds,
Oh
15
yeah.
seconds, 20 seconds. So yeah, so it's a little
Yeah.
more of an embellishment now. Yeah.
Just kind of just a little bit of an addition to the things that you're doing. Again, well, let's kind of, one of the things I want to do is kind of talk a little bit more about kind of your story, how you got to where you are and what you're doing and all of that, and teaching and getting, what brought you to permaculture really ultimately?
Yeah. Well, when I was a young man, like I said, I took my first permaculture class in 1996. And at that point, I had already realized that civilization was really on the wrong track.
Mm,
And I mean, even then, before people really were aware much of climate change or were talking about it as much and everything like that, I was like, man, we're going to hit a wall here. We've got
right.
runaway population growth, overconsumption, climate's changing, we're destroying ecosystems. I just kind of got it all. And I was wondering myself, I was like, how am I going to survive? Right? I was a city kid. I didn't know how to grow food or anything like that. And I was like, how am I going to actually learn how to live and produce the things I need? You might say I like became a prepper in
Yeah.
my young 20s. And when I discovered permaculture, well, actually, first off, I wandered through northern New Mexico and ended up discovering the earth ships. I don't know if you know the earth ships, these tire houses they build. And the earth ships are like this, theoretically, the self-contained system where you have this house that's built in, passive solar, built into a hillside. It's collecting the water off the roof into a cistern inside the house. It's treating wastewater directly inside the greenhouse of the house. It's growing
Yeah.
food in the house. And, I didn't have a concept of like how much land you actually need to support yourself. So in
Yeah.
my young, naive mind, I was thinking all I need to do is learn how to build an earth ship, and I can just survive in my little pod while the world does what the world's going to do.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's how I felt in my young 20s. That was my perception of what I was doing. So I had left college and I was wandering around. I ended up going back to college in Prescott College in Arizona, which is just a wonderful liberal arts environmental college. They actually had permaculture classes there. I mean, it's probably one of the first colleges that actually had permaculture classes back in the mid 90s. And so I took a permaculture class down in Tucson, Arizona. And one of my teachers was Brad Lancaster, who's now just a very well-known water harvesting expert around the world and stuff. And so once I took my first permaculture class, I was hooked.
Mm,
And I
mhm.
realized that this is the path I wanted to take. And I realized that permaculture is a field that you could spend your life studying and you would still just be scratching the surface of all the various details and disciplines that are within the permaculture design system. And so, I mean, that just got me set off. And that's when I took my first permaculture class and I realized, I was like, I don't know anything about plants.
Mhm.
And so this is
Mhm.
1996. And I said, whoa. So then for the rest of my college career there, I started studying ecology, natural history, botany. And then I went and got my master's degree. I was specifically studying heirloom fruit trees in Arizona. And
Okay.
so just got really into food production, desert farming, all of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. How would you yourself, I know there's just a ton of people out there who, fell in love with permaculture like yourself and out there teaching and talking about, how would you yourself describe what permaculture is and what its importance is really?
Yeah. I mean, permaculture is really a roadmap for
Hmm.
how we can design the human life to live in harmony with nature. So, what does a person need to live, right? It's water,
Yeah.
food, warmth, coolness, energy, all the different things that we need, building materials, fabric, right? How do we support our material and our social needs while at
Hmm.
the same time actually benefiting nature, right?
Yeah.
So it's a design system that teaches us how to do that. And when you look at indigenous cultures, when you look at unbroken lineages of traditional ecological knowledge, these cultures are essentially practicing their way, right? And
Yeah.
their way that works in harmony with the land. Now, permaculture is for people that have lost their way,
Mm.
people who have lost the connection of how to actually design our food, water systems where we're actually in harmony with the forces and the flows of nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. And let's see here. I want to jump in. I know I've got folks who are already dropping in some questions for us
Okay.
today here. Let's see here. Our friend Adam asks, Andrew, is there any projects coming up with you and Dr. Elaine Ingham? He said he's seen you on her webinar last year with John Liu.
Yeah. Well, I've done some work with Dr. John Liu, who is a great filmmaker. He was kind of a real inspiration for me because when I saw
Yeah,
his films, that kind of turned me on. I was like, ooh, started, little light bulb went on.
right.
So, I've met Dr. Elaine Ingham. She is actually lived in the town that I live in right now.
Okay.
So, and I've been connected. I've done some presentations for a permaculture class that they were putting together actually for the Soil Food Web. So
Okay.
I've had some connection with them, and like I said, they're local people, the organization, but I don't have any plans right now to do anything with her.
Excellent. Yeah, I've got to get her on the show someday. I used to love watching her lectures talking about soil biology and all of that. Just really awesome stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Leslie asks, what is the dynamic sandbox called you use to show contour?
Oh yeah, that is called the AR sandbox, or the augmented reality sandbox. So that's another like toy that Oregon State University developed or bought, or created in order to, I was the test case. Sometimes the guys that really just want to keep themselves interested at Oregon State University in the multimedia department. So they're like, oh, wow, Andrew, would you want to try to do some sandbox lectures? And so that was really fun. And I have a video series there you can watch about that. Yeah.
Excellent. And let's see here. You were talking a little bit how you were kind of first getting started there too at heirloom trees, right?
Yeah.
Eddie asks, I'm planning on planting fruit trees soon. Am I better off with bare root or potted?
I mean, typically, the conventional wisdom, as far as I know, is that bare root actually can really outgrow potted, because a lot of times we'll get a potted plant and the root system it's already pretty twisted up there in that pot, and it's already can be very disproportionate between the root ball and the fruiting wood. So I tend to go bare root if I have a choice, because the tree ends up having a better growth habit and doesn't have to overcome any potential root binding that may have happened in a pot. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree too. And
Yeah.
definitely from what I've heard from others as well. Yeah, bare root probably first and foremost. Let's see here. David asks, what role do you think urban gardeners can play in global ecological restoration? And and I'll add to that, is there anybody you've kind of visited, say, and done something with that kind of, is an example of this maybe?
Yeah. I have a lot of examples. I have some videos that I've already published that are very interesting examples. One that just reached 1 million views like yesterday is a rooftop farm, the largest rooftop farm on the West Coast in Oakland. So that's really interesting to actually see, 2 acres of cultivation deep in the city. I just was in Singapore on my last international trip, and Singapore, I mean, it's the advancements that they have in integrating, plant cultivation in general, but actually food production into the hyper urban environment is beyond what you could imagine unless you've looked into this stuff. I visited the tallest rooftop farm in the world, 51 stories high.
Oh,
where they
wow.
have a permaculture food forest on the top of a skyscraper there that's feeding a restaurant. And then I had this chef go and harvest food and cook me food. I mean, it was really spectacular. And then they've like integrated this terraced jungle cultivation into the cityscape, and then lots of rooftop cultivation of vegetable cultivation, fruit tree cultivation, vines, everything like that. So to actually see what in my imagination, the ecotopian city vision of a city is in Singapore, it was pretty spectacular. So I can see, I mean, there are examples there. The people are living in the cities. I mean, I don't know at what point, if now more people live in cities than live in rural areas in the planet. I've kind of lost track of, where that point is, but certainly if not now, in the future, more people are living in cities than live in rural areas. And there's amazing possibilities for food production in cities, especially because we have this concentration of compost resources, wastewater, microclimates, all of this heat, radiant heat and little canyons and plateaus that are created by all of the building structures, tons of runoff concentrated from all the roadways and surfaces. So there's no shortage of the resources in even hyper-dense urban environments to do a lot of fascinating cultivation in all the various microclimates created in the urban environment. And then you get in the suburbs, and I mean, I live on 1/3 of an acre. I consider this like a suburban scale. I'm in a town, so I'm not really in the suburbs, but it's a 1/3 of an acre lot. All around me, I have half-acre lots, acre lots, quarter-acre lots, and you can grow a massive amount of food on a small lot, especially when you're in a good, good soil and climate environment.
Yeah, I've always said that, and that's kind of my specialty, I guess you'd say, as far as on my channel and all of that, is small space, urban city gardening, utilizing spaces that you wouldn't normally utilize. We grow in alleyways. I was showing at the beginning of the show up on our little carport rooftop we're growing on. And I think there's just, a lot of people, you just got to use a little imagination, but there's also so many different ways of being able to grow, and you'll always be surprised about actually how much you can actually grow in a city environment.
Yeah, I mean, I have a video called "How I Turned My Yard into a Food Paradise," so you could actually see that on my channel, and you can see what I've done here. And I mean, when you get 1/3 of an acre, it's like there's a lot of different micro environments, deep little shady food forests with mushrooms growing, beehives, greenhouses, annual gardens. I mean, you can really tuck in a lot of different types of cultivation on a suburban scale lot, or even an urban scale lot, really.
Yeah. And you also mentioned going and visiting, going to Asia and whatnot. I just, we had on earlier this year, a friend of ours, Jason Williams. He's got a channel called The Cloud Gardener, and he's over from the UK.
Okay.
And he was fortunate enough to get like a grant or something to go and travel to, all these different cities in Asia to kind of look at what they're doing as far as their green spaces, so that maybe we can learn something from some of the things, because they do quite a bit more than, what we're doing here in our, I guess, Western culture and all that.
Yeah.
What kind of do you think of that? And of course, you've been over there and visited as well too. I mean, what are there, what are the things that we could learn from? What are the things that we could maybe improve on? whether it's both, Western, Eastern, either way, but, what are some of the things that you've learned about the differences in how we deal with green spaces?
Yeah, well, I mean, once you start talking about urban design, you start going into a lot of different realms. One thing I'll say is mass transit. I mean, excellent train systems. You can get around. The roads don't have to be as big. They've got these. I was in Taiwan in the last year. As far as Asia, I've been to Taiwan, the Philippines, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, East Timor.
Wow.
Not all of those in cities. A lot of it was visiting rural projects. But I have gotten a pretty good sense of what well-designed Asian cities actually look like and how well they function. And I mean, again, I guess I got to keep bringing it back to Singapore, because Singapore is just an incredible example where they are part of the ethos of the city and part of how they're making that city attractive, which is like attracting. It's a lot of wealth in the city. So actually, I think it's one of the most expensive, high cost of living cities in the world. It is a green jungle. I mean, they're just really protecting. If you remove greenery, you have to replace that same square footage of greenery. And that's why they have them growing up in the buildings and such.
Yeah.
But, I've been to a lot of cities. I mean, I've been all over India, and just, being in some of the cities, in Indonesia. And I mean, there's also a lot of things that are not working about a lot of cities in Asia, the crowding, the pollution, the sanitation systems, everything like that can be pretty brutal. Now, I just spent 10 days in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Now, this is maybe not what you were thinking of. I mean, technically it's in Asia, it's in the Middle East. And I was giving a workshop a permaculture workshop to Saudi government people that are working, a lot of them working with, it's called Greening Riyadh. They're planting, I mean, how many? I think 7.5 million trees in the city. And they're doing a massive greening off of basically a place that gets about 25 about 4 inches of rainfall per year.
Yeah, they're not getting much at all, huh?
Yeah, they have about 17 days of rain in a year. And of those days, maybe a couple of those storms are like almost an inch. So, I mean, it's like a handful of storms that they're getting. And they're doing a massive greening project. I mean, it's one of the most ambitious in the world. That's the organization that brought me there is involved in that. And they also are doing incredible wastewater bioremediation. So using plants and creating park-like environments to actually filter wastewater, and then that wastewater is being used to water the trees that are greening the city. So some really interesting, like whole, urban ecosystem level work there.
So would you say, I mean, really in a way though, too, is, and it's kind of something I got from my conversation with Jason though, as well, is that it's just a lot about intention, like in some of these other places, they are, they're making it a focus to be thinking about, like you're saying, regreening things and all that. What do you think is their ultimate, I mean, I'm sure we can think of all different types of reasons, but their ultimate reason for doing that versus us maybe needing to learn more of that intention, I suppose, in some of our cities and some of the things we're doing.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these people are taking the heat island effect very seriously, where you have, hot, especially we're talking about Asia, equatorial areas where some of the major heat spikes that we're seeing around the world are in some of those areas. So they're taking the cooling of the city very seriously. And they're also taking climate change very seriously. Some of these cities I visited are coastal cities, right? So you're talking about sea level rise, right? Talking about changes in rainfall pattern. So, when you get some smart people that are in control of some of these city functions, I mean, you really, especially, it's kind of interesting because some of the places that I've visited, we would consider them somewhat like authoritarian government structures,
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
like Singapore, Saudi Arabia, for instance.
Hmm.
But on the flip side, when they make a top-down decision to
Yeah,
regreen the city, it happens very quickly. So
yeah.
it was just an interesting observation. But I'll tell you another observation that I saw. And this isn't from top down. This is just bottom up. The people. I saw this in Taiwan very strongly. Walking around Taipei, walking around Kaohsiung, is people grow potted plants in mass. I walked down
Mm,
some streets that they did not have any green space where you could put something directly in the ground, but the
yeah.
people themselves that lived there was just like thousands of potted plants lining the sidewalk
Wow.
on every balcony up against. And I took some photographs. I was like, this is like a completely green street, but none of this is planted in the ground. I mean, I've been surprised
Wow.
at just how much people themselves in urban areas. I mean, I'm not sure. Like, is this a long-term urban legacy? Are these people that moved from rural areas to urban areas and they kept their gardening? You know, is this mostly older women? Is it men? Is it kids? You know, I'm
Right.
not sure like how that is, but I was pleasantly shocked wandering around some of these cities and just seeing the extent of container cultivation happening.
And really, again, too, possibly just a difference in culture as well, too,
Yeah.
between folks who are more connected with the necessity of nature versus, I would say, a lot of our cities and places that can utilize a lot of improvement, and all of that is a cultural difference, right?
Yeah, and also I would say that people in these places are really, really into cooking. I mean,
Mm,
the food is
hmm.
so good. I mean, you go to Thailand, Cambodia, India, right? It's just like
Yeah,
the people are really into cooking good food. So a lot of this and there's, you know, this huge wide range of culinary herbs that they're growing in pots all around. So it's like walking through a giant herb garden and little fruit trees, and maybe they have like some little lime tree. Well, they're using the limes. It's a food, it's a spice, you know,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
flavor additive. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, a lot of it comes down to food, but I just find it really fascinating. You also mentioned too about transportation. I did kind of hang out on a little personal live I did with Jason when he was, I can't remember exactly what city he was in China, but again, some of those advancements and some of those things that I was just watching him, he was showing me video stuff, and I was just like, this is unbelievable, just kind of how on top of it. And again, too, you also mentioned too, there is a give and take. I mean, these are governments that I certainly wouldn't want to live under, really. But at the same time, Jason mentioned this as well too, is that when they, kind of see the importance of something needing to be done, they can, kind of pretty much almost directly get that project underway and get it going. And whereas, for us and Western culture, we got all these barriers and all these things that really kind of prevent us from just jumping into some of these projects that really, in a way, we talk about global climate change and all these different types of things are really important to be kind of working on and emphasizing. So I find that to be just such a tough or odd juxtaposition, right, of things where you've got, again, authoritarian governments and places we definitely wouldn't want to live under in a way, but doing some really amazing things at the same time that we in our system we would prefer to be in aren't capable of matching.
Yeah, but I want to say one thing because it's interesting from the perspective of an American where it's like, I'd never
Yeah,
want to live under those. You talk to the
right, right,
people
right.
there,
Yeah.
and it's a hard case to make. They're
Hmm.
like, oh, you're so free to have drug addicts on the street and have poverty and people hungry. They're like, how's the freedom
Right.
working for you? They're
Yeah.
like everybody in both of those cities in Singapore, of course, some of it's like high surveillance. There's cameras everywhere. They're like,
Yeah.
you can leave your wallet on the sidewalk and come back 3 days later. They're like, you can walk around here, a young single woman at 4 a.m. and no one's going to mess with you. Now,
Right.
there's a flip side, right? But
Yep.
it's interesting because I was unable to sell American freedom as superior. I was unable to win a debate saying, no, but we're, like, I was like,
Right.
okay, well, it's okay. Like not, no homelessness, no poverty, or no visible poverty. Like we see, you live in Southern
Hmm.
Oregon. I mean, you can't, I live in a wealthy town here in Western Oregon, and I can't walk down the street without seeing people that are like in really rough shape,
Yeah, the same here for
really rough
sure. It's
shape. Yeah.
everywhere. I tell everybody, even locals here, who don't get outside very much
Yeah.
of this town and all of that, because they're like, "Oh man, it's so bad." And I'm like, "Well, that's pretty much everywhere you go right now." And you make a great point. And I had this discussion with Jason offline as well too after we were talking on the show. But there is that, again, a give and take that I think that is tough for us, to be able to kind of understand and all of that. But over there, folks are not, they don't feel the same as we do about
Yeah.
their systems they've got to live under. And again, and maybe and a lot of it comes down to, as we were talking about, is that ability to kind of see what's needed and then kind of get it done, kind of thing. And but yeah.
Yeah, I'll say one thing. I was shocked in Riyadh. Again, I guess
Yeah.
I don't know if we're getting off topic or not here, but
Right.
I was shocked in Riyadh that everybody I talked to like they love it there. They're so bullish. They're like, we're doing great. The government, we got so much money. It's all this growth. We're developing the city, And where
Yeah.
I'm coming from my perspective, I'm like, whoa, it is really freaking hot here. It is really
Right.
dry. You're getting
Yeah.
your water supply is from a giant desalination plants, and you're piping it 200 miles across the desert. I'm like, I have all of these
Yeah.
larger system-wide things living in a place like the Willamette Valley in Oregon that's really, really nice. But people there were really stoked to be where they were. So it's just interesting. Yeah.
It is interesting, but do you think there are, again, too, to kind of get back to the idea of, again, urban greening,
Yeah.
maybe more of of our emphasis on what we're doing to, employ plants to help better our situation with climate change and all that sort of stuff? Is there really a lesson to be learned or something that we could really take from some of those places and maybe improve upon within what our system, you know what I mean, to be
Yeah.
able to do things on a better scale?
Well, treating a city like you would treat a permaculture design site,
Yeah.
right? Being like looking at the city and be like, okay, wastewater. How can where are we? Where do we have an absence of trees? Where are the heat islands within our city? How can we actually create a system where we reused wastewater to grow trees, which provide food, which provide shade, which provide habitat? How can we actually look at the system of a city and use our permaculture design intelligence to see that the city it's an ecosystem itself. So I think a lot of it's just using your design mind in a sense, because there's a lot of the improvements that we can make are very obvious. I mean, Bill Mollison, the founder of permaculture, said the solutions to our problems are embarrassingly simple. And when you look at urban environments, I did my first permaculture class in the Tucson area. You look at what Brad Lancaster's done for the last over 30 years in his neighborhood, doing water harvesting, street side water harvesting and growing trees. I mean, a lot of this stuff is really, really simple. It's just another definition of permaculture that one of my original permaculture teachers, Barbara Rose, used was, she said, it's applied common sense. Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of these solutions of just connecting stormwater runoff off the road with growing trees to shade the road, a parking lot. I mean, you ever go in Arizona, right? You go to a parking lot, you're driving there on the parking lot, and you're trying to get your steering wheel right in the pole, the shade from the electric pole. You're trying to line up the shade from the electric pole. You're like, and then it rains, a monsoon rain comes, and you see massive amounts of water just flowing off the parking lot, flooding the streets, and out through some dry wash and away, where you're like, oh, runoff, hot parking lot, tree, shade. It's like a very simple equation. And we're just not
Yeah.
doing these things because we're not looking at things with the right design perspective.
Right. Yeah. And again, too, just a lot of things. And I think about that too, also, and maybe expand on that just a little bit more, though, is again, when I think of like permaculture or thing like that, I'm thinking like a big space of open land, and I'm gonna build some swales, or I'm gonna do all these different things to kind of make it all work together in this great system and all of that. But again, in cities and all of that, we don't have this big expanse of land where, it's an urban environment. What are maybe some of these other things that we can be thinking about too, and kind of bringing those two things together? Permaculture in a city
Yeah.
situation.
I mean, some of the strategies are like vertical cultivation, really
Mhm.
growing things up, having trellising, because a lot of cities too, you're multi-story there. You could be trellising, grapevines or food plants up, or espaliering fruit trees up, and you can actually harvest them from the, second and third floor kind of thing. Creating a lot of balconies. I mean, Bill Mollison, again, founder of
Yeah.
Permaculture, he had some really nice old videos from the 80s of these incredible balcony designs that he visited,
Yeah.
where, I mean, it gets kind of back to the potted plants, but where someone created this whole integrated food system, just even in the small space on a balcony. Again, the city as a concentration of resources, taking the urban waste stream and taking that waste stream and connecting it back into food cultivation. And then the green spaces in urban areas, right?
Mhm.
Community gardens, urban gardens, school gardens, right? You have a lot of people. You can have very intensively managed gardens when you have a lot of people around, where you can do whatever. You can do the John Jevons style, where you're turning over these beds really rapidly because you have so much compost materials. You can have really high fertility, small spaces. When you look at Portland, Oregon, there's a
Mhm.
lot, that's only 100 miles away from me. There's some really great examples of these street side orchards where literally they're taking the space between the street and the sidewalk. It's like 18 inches, 24 inches. And they're
Yeah.
literally growing fruit trees. They're pruning them up over the sidewalk, or vines, and they're having trellising up over the sidewalk. And they're having a whole orchard canopy that is sourced in an 18-inch parking strip,
Right.
So yeah, so in a permaculture analysis, you're like, where's the soil? Where's the water flow? Where's the sun? Where's the microclimate? How can I actually create, close the loops and create this ecosystem that's food producing, even in that hyperdense urban environment?
All right. Let's see here. Again, too, if you could redesign city landscapes using permaculture principles, where would you start?
Yeah, well, you always
Kind of
start
goes
with,
along the same lines we're talking about in a way,
yeah, I
right?
would just say you always start with water flow.
Yeah.
You start with
Where's the
water.
water?
Where's the water? Where does the water flow? Where can you collect water? How are you going to source it? How are you going to source water? So you start with your water systems, and your analysis, right? So you have
Yeah.
to understand, you can't go and put a big thing. And then you realize, you put in your garden, you realize, oh, there's a 5-story building due south of me, right? And I'm
Mhm.
not going to get any sunlight. So you have to do your site analysis in order to understand, first off, where you would even be able to grow based on, there's a lot of arbitrary development in a city. People can do whatever they want. They can throw up a 10-story building. Imagine you're on the north side of a 10-story building. Well, that's like being on the north side of a 10-story cliff,
Yeah.
So let's see, you
Right.
can grow ferns and mushrooms, basically.
Right. Yeah, that is always, again, too, where are you growing next to walls and things, and the limitations of light and things like that are always, especially in, like my backyard situation, my back patio situation, there's only so much because of the walls that I'm getting, and I have to really plan for that very well. Let's see here. Laura asks, how do you feel about permaculture co-housing projects like Rooted Northwest in Western Washington?
I don't know that one specifically, but I have a permaculture type co-housing just down the end of my street called Coho Co-housing. Really neat design. And I've visited a lot of the co-housing permaculture design communities in Portland. That one, oh, what's it called? Shoot, there's one that they actually turned a giant old motel into an eco village. The name is escaping me for a second. There's a lot of really neat designed ones where, you know, the co-housing, I mean, one of the nice things is they keep the cars out of the center of the community. They create a pedestrian community, which for permaculture design is perfect. The one down the block from me, when my son's now almost 18, when he was just a toddler, he actually went to daycare there.
Oh,
and
wow. All right.
And you know, he was toddling around, and it was really cool. I got to experience firsthand the safety of having all of the housing units facing in with a pedestrian pathway, all the cars kept outside the community, and the kids could wander through, and it was packed, it still is packed, with fruit trees and all kinds of gardens and beautiful flowers, lots of gorgeous ornamentals and different natives, and then they have a community garden area where they really intensively cultivate. So, I mean, I think that co-housing communities offer the best of the you know, the mixture of the best of the rural and the urban environments. So I'm you know, the only reason why I still like, I don't like to talk to anybody about what I do on my property. Like, you know, my wife, she takes care of the inside. I'm like, the outside is my domain, because I just, you know, so I think I might have a little trouble living in a co-housing community just because I don't really want to interact with people. I just want to do what I want to do outside, but maybe that's just my own thing, you know, but for people that do like that community scale collaboration, I think it's a wonderful option.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that idea myself, though, too. But I'm similar to you, too. I've got my situation. I've designed it. I like what I'm doing. You know, it's kind of my thing as well when it comes to my space. But I always like, you know, being involved in, you know, some of our local community gardens and things like that, where we can collaborate and work together and things like that. But I do really enjoy my space.
Yeah, I was just saying, like when I go out to work in the garden, like that's my place of peace.
Right.
That's where I go for like quiet and time when I can just be in my own head. And so I prefer not to really talk to anybody when I'm working outdoors.
Yeah,
so, you know, that's just me. Yeah.
Let's see. And David's asking too, you talk about ecosystem level design. How can homeowners think like ecosystem designers?
Yeah. Well, again, I would encourage you to go to my YouTube channel and watch the video I have called "How I Turn My Yard into a Food Paradise." It gives you a little bit of example of how I have created my own ecosystem in my place here. You know, because I think that people undervalue the importance of having an actual functioning ecosystem that works in tandem with food production. I was just, this is what I was talking about yesterday to my class on campus, my permaculture class I'm teaching, that basically the permaculture approach to pest management in the garden, for instance, is biodiversity. The permaculture perspective is, if you have a biodiverse garden system, you've got hedgerows.
Does IPM fit into that, right? Integrated pest management.
Yeah, but it's almost like passive IPM.
Okay.
Passive IPM is, I have flowers of all types that are attracting a wide diversity of beneficial insects. So I have complex predator-prey relationships happening on my site because of the biodiversity that I have on my site. And that itself keeps any one particular pest population from getting to the level where it can really target and destroy a crop. That's not to say that there's not a time to bring in some sort of pepper spray or IPM release. It's not to say that that doesn't exist. However, your base strategy is biodiversity and complex predator-prey relationships, and birds, bringing in birds, you know, and having a diversity of just wildlife coming in. You know, it's when you have a monoculture, so when you have one target of one crop and nothing else around, that a particular pest can get to that crop in mass, right? So having native plants, having a great diversity of flowers with extended bloom time, so you're attracting native and also cultivated pollinators. I say cultivated pollinators because I have 5 beehives right here. No, sorry, 4 beehives right back here, and I get honey. And you know, there's like, I definitely have people like say, you're, you know, that European honeybees displace native pollinators, or when things get, and you know, there's some, I mean, just like, you know, your people of European descent displaced habitat here, you know, like there's a lot of exotic species, you know, so when you get into the native exotic species, there's a lot of complexity there. You know, my answer is always like, well, what did you have for breakfast? You know, did you eat all, you know, if you didn't eat a native breakfast of camas bulbs and acorn mash, then you displaced a native ecosystem somewhere else. So at the yard level, I feel like, well, if I'm not cultivating my own honey, either I'm getting honey from somewhere else where native bees are being displaced in a different location, or I'm eating sugar that was brought in from the tropics, sugar cane, or maple syrup from the East Coast, maybe sugar beets. You know, I mean, you just get into this, you start getting into this whole like conversation of how far is my food coming from and all that stuff. So I believe that a mixture of cultivated food plants, also native plants, that, you know, it creates a novel ecosystem. Novel ecosystems are new assemblages of plants and animals that were never before present. And at this point, a huge footprint of the planet is made up of novel ecosystems, right? But yeah. So, you know, to some degree, it's like, we got to go with it. The cat's out of the bag. Plants and animal species and human species have already mixed up the genetics from across the planet. I mean, we're deep into this experiment. Deep into it. Yeah. Deep into this experiment. Yeah.
Yeah. And in some ways, it's like you said, there's just no kind of turning back in a way in a lot of aspects of that. Right. So we've really got to work with what we've created, you know, in a sense. So,
yeah.
Let's see here. I'll get another question in real quick here. Maybe these together or something. Let's see here. David asks, you've spent years teaching online. How do you keep digital learning hands-on and personal?
Yeah.
And let me mix that with this question. We can combine these two real quick and get them both done. How has film and storytelling helped people connect with the heart of permaculture?
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, I would say that by the nature of the digital medium, it's not going to be a hands-on experience, you know, and it's only going to get, you know, like, you can only be so connected. So there are limitations to the digital medium. That being said, understanding that, I would say particularly for our courses, we have done a lot of work where the entire course, our permaculture design courses, are built around designing your own place. And we have small groups that are delineated by climate zones. So the people that are in deserts are together, the people that are in, you know, temperate climates are together. And then we have one instructor for a small group that is going through someone's assignments the whole time and working with them on developing their own property. So that's how we have bridged and made it personal in the structure of our courses. And then there are a lot of hands-on observation assignments and such. But ultimately, someone doesn't come out of an online class with hands-on experience. You come out of an online class with the intellectual understanding of what the permaculture design system is and what the stages are that you need to go through in order to create a permaculture design. But it's not a substitute for actually getting your hands in the dirt. So that's something that people need to find outside of an online course.
Yeah.
On the video end, my personal goal, like you were talking about the artistry and everything like that, and it's not just the drawing artistry. In my videos, we really work very hard to just try to make it artistic, engaging, entertaining, because I'm trying to capture people's hearts and people's interest, because I want someone to watch that video who's never even thought about land restoration and be like, wow, that's like a beautiful, amazing thing. Like we could actually like heal the planet and restore damaged ecosystems. Like this is something that humans have the capacity to do. So I want to inspire people, because as you can see, if you watch through all my videos, you'll see we have the answers. I mean, the answers to solve so many of the world's problems are right there at our fingertips. We understand how to do a lot of these things. What's the missing piece? The missing piece is the human will. Why the human will is not intention, and why people's focus and inspiration is not around fixing our problems. Well, you could point to a lot of distractions out there that are keeping us from focused on what I feel like we should be focused on as a species, which is getting our lives aligned, where our lives and the harmony of the world are cohesive, where nature is not suffering from our presence but thriving from our presence. I think this actually should be the major task of our species right now, because otherwise, as we diverge from natural systems, at some point things start to fall apart, because you can't be you're not going to be kept alive by Instagram, right? YouTube is not going to put food on your table. Like nature, the abundance of nature is what creates the conditions for us to have clean water, clean food, a roof over our head. Yeah. And again, that comes back to kind of the earlier conversation in a way too. It's just really important for us in general as humanity to be figuring out some of this stuff. And right now, especially because, we're just continuing to grow. We're continuing to take up more space, and urban environments are growing and all that sort of situation across the globe. And we need to really be learning how to continue to incorporate nature into our growth. Otherwise, again, too, I always I think of and I'm a big Star Wars fan, right? And I think of like their main planet that they have they do their government and stuff from. It's called a planet called Coruscant, right? The one that's completely a giant city, that one?
It's all a city. There's
awful.
no nature. Yeah. It's layers of layers upon city on top of city. And I think about that as like this, let's not make that our destination where we're heading, even though it seems like that's kind of where we're going in some ways. But we've really got to pull back a bit and find some of these things to make, again, nature, plants, just again, food as well too. Such an important thing is that we grow a lot of that, and to be incorporating that into our growth in better ways than what we've been doing up to today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right on. Okay, well, here before we finish up though too, I just want to say how much I just really enjoy your videos. I went out and as I got my whole YouTube thing started and everything, and I was like, I want to go do some of these, go do little documentary visits and interviews and go check out some of these projects and stuff. So I've done a few of those on my own. But then I see yours and I'm like, oh man, I have got so much to learn. So really, I just want to ask you though too, is a lot of this just, you yourself, you're going in with the camera, I think maybe a drone as well too and stuff, and you're just kind of going in and doing this project yourself? Or do you have like a team of people that are helping you out anymore? Or?
Yeah, I have one other very, very talented young man that I work with named Mitchell, and we've been working together for the last few years. So I started doing all this on my own. I did everything on my own. I did the video stuff. I'd go in there, I'd travel, I'd do all the editing. And then over time, I found one really great collaborator, and he's so good. He just brings the whole level of everything up, and he's very dedicated. And so, and then I have other contractors, people that I work with for some of the digital animation stuff. I work with Ben Missimer of Pearl River Eco Design. He's down in Mississippi, and he does a lot of my like map animation stuff. And then I have some other people that help me with now, like when we bring our footage back, I'll give it to another guy that helps me out, and he'll go and organize the footage and do some of the initial work of synchronizing the audio and kind of getting it ready for the editing. But still, it's me and it's one other person. And that's why you'll see that our stuff is not getting out very quickly. And actually, it's funny because I've been trying to like get faster and get more people. And if anything, we've gotten slower.
Right.
We've gotten slower because we're just taking more time and getting more perfectionist about this stuff.
Yeah.
The filming stuff is easy. It's fun. We go out. I might do anywhere from 1 to 4 or 5 days on site, with going to the Sahel of Africa with the World Food Program. I spent 3 weeks touring around Niger and Chad with them. And then we'll come out with 4 videos. I still have 1 more to do from there, or it really depends. It's a huge amount of work. It takes a lot of resources. So, I generate resources through the university, through our online classes. I generate resources through donors, people that support my work. And now I've got to say, I actually have started a new thing where I'm creating videos now outside of Oregon State University through a thing I created called the Earth Repair Fund, where we're using the videos to raise money for the projects themselves. So we released the first video with the Earth Repair Fund, and that is a video I shot in Hawaii with a group called the Sovereign Indigenous Nation of Hawaii. So it's a native group that is restoring the watershed scale system, the Ahupua'a, restoring their food system. So we went there, and we have a fundraiser call to action within that video, and we've already raised coming on $37,000 for that project. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that's like a new direction that I'm actually going to be making videos to try to make change on the ground through harnessing all the attention with this audience. So we've already filmed the next 2 videos. Yeah, I see it's Jay put a link there, Earth Repair Fund. If there's anybody out there that would like to actually support the creation of fundraising videos, then you can go to Earth Repair Fund. You can contact me because this is the new direction that I am going, which is using this work to make actual change on the ground with these projects we're highlighting.
Yeah, that's just amazing. Yeah, everybody go check that out. Link in the comments here. And what I'll try to do is get a link to that put into the description for those who are watching on the replay as well too. This just the website where you go and see these videos. Is there a YouTube channel connected or anything like that, or just comes from yours directly?
It's all on Andrew Millison YouTube channel. Yeah. Okay. So that YouTube channel has ones that I'm making through Oregon State University, ones that I'm making through the Earth Repair Fund. Right. And so we've already filmed in Sumatra, Indonesia for the Earth Repair Fund, where they're actually turning palm oil plantations into biodiverse jungle and restoring orangutan habitat and rehabilitating orangutans there. And then we filmed another Earth Repair Fund video in East Timor, which is a country that had a brutal war of independence against Indonesia. And they've only been a nation for about 23 years. And they have done massive scale permaculture work in that country. They've restored over 700 springs in the country. Yeah, it's a phenomenal project that I'm really excited to show you when I make that video. Yeah.
Right on. And again, let's finish up here real quick. I'll just ask you, you got anything coming up that you're excited about? Any future projects, any future trips or anything like that you're thinking a lot about right now?
Yeah, I have about 1 million. It's probably, do you have another hour on the podcast?
I know, exactly, right?
Yeah. Well, like I said, right now, the next video we're going to put out, we're editing the last video from Chad, which is building these massive lake systems right at the edge of the Sahara Desert. So that's another one coming out. We're looking to fund a a trip to do a video about a project in Panama with a geoversity. It's the Maimani Preserve. It's a huge watershed scale restoration project that they have increased the forest cover so much that they've actually increased the rainfall and increased the social cohesion in these indigenous tribes. And this whole watershed is actually part of the water supply of the Panama Canal. So it actually has geopolitical implications. So that's a project I'm really excited about. That's probably gonna be my next trip, basically.
Yeah.
To Panama and Costa Rica. I'm going to be speaking at a festival down in Costa Rica. But other than that, lots of different plates spinning. I have you can't see, but I have a bulletin board behind me of about probably 12 projects that I've already filmed that we're making the videos for. So, I mean, we have a lot of work in the pipelines.
Lots and lots of great content still coming up. And again, I encourage everybody who's watching today, if you haven't had a chance to check out Andrew's channel, again, we got links down below. There's a link as well to the project he was just talking about in our comments. I'll try to get that down below as well. But we got links to the YouTube and Andrew's website where you can probably find everything that you need to find as well there too. So definitely go be checking those out. Go check out some of these really amazing videos. Again, Andrew, such a great job. Just really, just someone to really admire and look up to as far as a video producer myself. You do such an amazing job, and it's just been really awesome to have you here on the show with us to talk all about that. And I definitely, again, as you said, there's probably another couple more hours of things that we could dig into and talk about and get in all that. So I look forward to having you back on again, possibly down the road, so we can kind of talk about some of these other just amazing projects and things that you do here.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks a lot, man, for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience.
Absolutely, man. Excellent. And until next time, we'll see you again. And thank you so much for being here on Let's Get Growing. So, all right, everybody, there we are. I told you we were going to have a really, really amazing show for you here today, and that's exactly what we got. What an awesome conversation with Andrew Millison. And again, like I said, get into these links down below. Go check out his channel. Go watch some of these videos if you haven't yet. Just some really amazing things, amazing projects. So many awesome things that to learn about when it comes to permaculture, and all these are really amazing projects from around the world. I mean, you just so many awesome things to look at and to learn from when it comes to the content that he's doing there. So again, thanks to Andrew for being here with us today for sure. And again too, we are back here again tomorrow. As I mentioned, we'll be right back at it here with our good friend Gardner Scott. Gardner Scott joining us for the Ask Gardner Scott show, and where he'll answer all of your gardening questions. So definitely jump back in with us here again tomorrow, same time here on the Urban Gardener channel, to get all of your gardening questions answered by our good friend Gardner Scott. And I'll just also the Sunday after tomorrow is next Sunday, the third Sunday of the month. Let me get this out. Third Sunday of the month. And, we talk about this all month long. This is our monthly gardening book club. We've got our monthly gardening book club coming up here with our good friend, Mr. MBC. He'll be joining with us here actually tomorrow for In the Garden. And then we'll see him live with us here on the show next week as we are interviewing Kristen Graves for her book, The Garlic Companion. We'll have Kristen on the show with us to talk all about this just really great book. I've just been loving this book. It's full of so much really great history and knowledge and all sorts of things about garlic, as well as recipes and all sorts of really awesome stuff in this book. So you definitely want to get yourself a copy of that if you haven't already, or just come along and check out the fun conversation with our good friend Mr. MBC next week for our monthly gardening book club. So again, like I said, everybody, thank you so much for being here today. Just really awesome to hang out with you here. Awesome to hang out with Andrew and talk all about his different projects. Really awesome to talk with our good friend Jay Dixon, our facilitator at the beginning of the show as well too. And check out some of the fall gardening that she's got growing on in her garden. And if you can, before we head out here today, let's click that like button. Let's hit that thumbs up there, as well as subscribe and hit the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams, as well as share with all your friends. Let them know that we're here each and every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time for all of you over in the UK. And yeah, everyone, thank you so much for being here today. Check out all those links down below in the description below for our guests today, and go check out everything that they got growing on. Go check out one of Andrew's videos and go leave him a comment. Let him know that you saw him here on the Let's Get Growing show, and show some love for our show in his comment section and support what he's doing there. And again, like I said, it's just really awesome to get to hang out with all of you here today. Really, really appreciate it. And if you can, also, I do want to start mentioning this as well too, that we are always accepting donations and all of that to help support our show and future projects for the Urban Gardener channel. So if you do have an opportunity to donate to the channel, you can do that directly through, we've got Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, those sort of things, and links also down below in our description there. It's always appreciated to get some support from all of you folks out there. So if you do have anything to spare, definitely drop it in one of those places there for sure. So again, everybody, really awesome to see you here. Gardener Scott coming up tomorrow for the show, so you won't want to miss out on that. We'll be right back here again, right at it, same time, same place, right here on the Urban Gardener channel. And I'll see all of you then.
All right, take the run. See you on the flippy flops.